All right, welcome back to Good Morning San Diego. New laws are already in effect here in San Diego, and there's a lot to keep track of. I don't even know if you could keep track of them all. Joining us in studio to help us sort through them is Dr. Wendy Patrick. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
So where are we at? 930 new laws?
930 new laws this year, up from 800 last year. So if this trend continues next year, we're going to have to reserve an hour for this segment.
I'm telling you, my goodness. So we all need to follow the rules. That's what they're testing us on, right?
So there's a couple of themes this year. We've got the usual themes, right? Money, sex, and guns. On the money front, very good news. So new law that it's going to go into effect in July now requires employers, in many cases, to provide at least 3 days of paid sick leave. So no more survival of the fittest.
Sure.
This is very good news for employees who up till now have had to choose between their health and their paycheck. The minimum wage continues to rise, so there's lots of good news on the financial front. There are more laws that are providing protection to potential victims of sex offenses. Remember, we heard a lot earlier in the year, last year, about the yes means yes law, and as I think I pointed out before, that amends the education code, not the penal code. So it applies on college campuses that seek to receive state financial aid. Both parties need to affirmatively consent to a sexual encounter. One of the other laws that's gaining a lot of attention is selfies are now included in revenge porn laws. That was a loophole that's now been filled. And then, of course, rounding it out, guns, all right? So in response to the Santa Barbara rampage by Elliot Rodger last year, we have a couple of things, and one of which is the fact that family members or law enforcement can now seek to provide or to get a restraining order against somebody to prevent them from owning their guns until a hearing is held. Very controversial, but there are due process controls along the way. But those are some of the themes that we're seeing this year.
And obviously, you're just highlighting some of them, because 930, we couldn't possibly go through all of them. But, you know, Dan and I were talking earlier about the 3 paid sick leave days. You're just breaking ground on this one, we understand. But 3 days, yes, it's better than none, but still, you're like, don't use them all in one place, you know, right, with only 3 days, and that happens. We're all human, we do get sick. So that's how we have to look at some of these, right? Okay, we're breaking ground, perhaps next year.
Step in the right direction.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly, things will change, that's for sure. What needs to be done for these to be altered? For the people saying, okay, great, I love that it's out there, but it's still not exactly what we want.
Well, I'll give you an example of that. One of the more controversial laws is the bag ban. Now, you wouldn't think that would be such a big deal, right? In San Diego, we're eco-friendly anyway. Many of us don't even use the plastic bags. We bring our own. But so they have gathered enough signatures to perhaps put a halt on this law. In the same fashion, you know, people in the community, citizens, are constantly looking for new laws and being very vocal about what they'd like to see changed. And this does, in fact, lead to some changes, including some of the things that we've already mentioned. So while some of the laws are controversial, some of them are making San Diegans very happy, like Bon Appetit, the dining with your dog bill.
It's very cute. What's that about?
Well, that now allows, well, what it really does, I should say, is it legitimizes what is already a long-standing practice of many restaurants allowing diners on the patio to have their dogs. There's a list of rules and regulations you have to follow on both sides, both the diner and the restaurant, in order to allow this. And it doesn't mean a candlelit anniversary dinner for 3 inside a swanky restaurant, but it will allow that same thing outside on the patio, which in San Diego can be just as nice.
And it doesn't mean that you're absolutely right about that one. And it doesn't mean you can take your dog everywhere either.
That's right.
You know, a lot of people think they can walk their dogs into the grocery store, not so much with open produce. It doesn't work that way.
And that's one of the things that governs this patio law, is they cannot be in contact with any of the food being served. There's a whole laundry list of regulations that you have to follow, but it's still good news that now it's at least legitimate. It doesn't mandate restaurants to allow this, but it permits them to do so, which is, again, another step in the right direction.
And it's all their preference, if they want it, if they want to allow it or not. That's right. So I want to go back to, I know we're talking about something that's pretty light, but a lot of people, I've even heard that this has made national news, the revenge porn with the selfies. Break that down a little bit for us, because a lot of people may not make that connection. What do you mean revenge porn, and what do you mean like a smiley selfie?
Right.
So just explain that for us.
So in a lot of cases, what people had done is they had taken, you know, compromising photographs of people, a lot of nude photos, and you see this on the news all the time. They post them to get back back at the person. That's what gives this sort of name revenge porn.
Sure.
But the selfie was not included because it had been taken by the subject, by the victim, if you will. Now a selfie is included. So regardless of who took the picture, you can't without consent put something like that out in the public domain.
Even if you send it to someone.
Even if you send it to somebody, if it's posted without your consent. And that's new, and it plugged a loophole in the old law. And that's a breath of relief to a lot of people that unfortunately did send some ill-advised selfies and now seek to have those kinds of things removed.
All right, we're only a few days into 2015 here, which sounds so strange to say. 2015, my goodness. But 2016, are they already planning ahead and new laws potentially going up? I mean, you said last year 800, this year 930 new laws, more next year, and anything in sight that you know they're going to target?
You know, we're going to continue to talk about some of the themes. We're going to continue to try to protect victims. We're going to continue to try to raise the minimum wage, protect employees, continue really to try to make our world more eco-friendly, more environmentally sensitive, more affordable, and safer. And it seems like every year we continue to meet those milestones, and I expect nothing but a continuation of that in 2016.
All right, all important topics. Thanks so much for being here this morning. Appreciate it. All right, guys, moving forward, we're